I'm sure Bob won't mind missing the, oh, here he is. Okay, Robert, can you hear us now? You're muted.
He's muted.
Unmute, I can hear.
Okay. All right, well, let's get started. I note we have a quorum. Lillian, myself, Suzanne, GB, Carol, and David, that's 5, and Robert, 6. And we have 2 guests, Maxine. Why don't you introduce yourself, Maxine? Oh, I guess, yeah. Well,
Sure. Hi, I'm Maxine LaPellis. I'm an environmental lawyer, and my husband and I have been part-time residents in Wellfleet for about 15 years, and we moved here permanently this summer.
Welcome.
Thank you.
okay. And Bob, would you like to introduce yourself again?
Yeah, Bob Higginsteel, Truro Climate Action and Energy Committee. I
Okay,
came to listen about the high school.
okay. I'll say that, yes, David?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make a quick request and suggestion. I know we have a very long agenda, but I've been finding it's really useful to try to keep Zoom meetings to about an hour. I don't know if we can do that, but it's a request I'm making, and just if we can be really succinct, it would be great.
Okay.
I'm up for that.
We'll try. That's a good suggestion. We'll see if we can do it. So let's get to the agenda, which was somewhere. Well, would you have the agenda in front of you? The first thing is adoption of the minutes. So,
Approval of minutes of previous meeting.
okay, do we have a motion on the minutes?
Um,
Could I make a suggestion? I'm sorry, I didn't read these,
Yes.
Lily, until tonight.
Okay,
But under, with Ryan on, oh, it's at the bottom of the first page. Discussion of approaches to meeting global warming solutions goals. I think what I said is that I was trying to get the most recent draft of the local comprehensive plan, not working with Ryan on a plan, but working with the local comprehensive plan committee. Okay?
and you
That
did,
changed,
Yes,
I did send out to all the committee members the most recent version of the local comprehensive plan.
correct.
yeah, I did.
Right. But this is what was said at the last meeting. And
Right.
and Suzanne wasn't involved with that. So
Okay,
Yeah, I'll make that revision. I'd also like to revise that, put one more sentence at the end of the topic above that, the Cape Cod Commission listening session. I'd like to just add, Carol also attended the meeting.
Right.
okay,
So does someone want to make a motion?
right. As revised, would someone make a motion?
I vote to approve the minutes as revised.
Second?
Who second?
Second,
Okay, Suzanne, second. All in favor? I guess this is supposed to be a roll call vote. Lillian,
Yes.
Dick Elkin, yes. Suzanne,
yes.
GB?
Am I voting tonight?
Well, Chuck isn't here, so yes.
Okay, approved.
Okay, Carol
I,
and Robert
Aye.
and David.
Aye.
Okay, so,
Dick, a
Sus-
point of order.
Yeah.
You need to read that preamble when you start the meeting. That's something you have to do. This meeting, will be held virtually. You know that? You want me
I
to read?
don't know. Okay, read it, fine. I don't know if it's a requirement, but because I read the suspension of the rules and it never mentioned reading it, but please do.
Yes, it's a requirement. This meeting will be held virtually via Zoom video conference in accordance with the temporary suspension and enhancement of the open meeting law requirements by Governor Baker. Instructions for a Zoom video conference meeting, which also allows a phone dial, are given on the town's website. If you have technical difficulties joining a Zoom meeting, please contact the chair at dick@elkin.email. Is it Dick? What's your email?
Dick@elkin.email,
Email. Okay.
among many others. Okay.
The second item is discussion and review of grant proposal status.
Right. So now, Carol, with Suzanne, are there any
Yeah.
developments? Yes, Suzanne.
Yes, I have three updates on grant-related issues. The first is that I corresponded with Heather McElroy from the Cape Cod Commission about any update on that rejected MVP grant for low-lying roads. And I think at the last meeting I had mentioned that they wanted to contact the grant coordinator and find out why the rejection. So what she found out is that we came very close to being accepted. However, there were more grant requests than there were funds. And she and Hillary were encouraged to try again by the coordinator in spring, because there is a very good likelihood. However, Heather did say as an aside that she now realizes that, despite that encouragement, low-lying roads are not a big goal with the MVP grant. So we left it at that. And I told her I'd be interested in hearing what they decide for spring. So that's number one. Number two, with the BRIC grant, which is FEMA MEMA, and BRIC is for Building Resilient Infrastructure and Committees grant. And so what had happened when we last met was that the town was going to respond to a statement of interest. And they did, and it was approved. The grantor wants us to move ahead and do that. So what's happening now is that the town's engineering consultant, which is a company called Conseco, is in the process of doing a benefits cost analysis. And the requirement for this grant, and this is a little over my head, so I'm kind of repeating here, it needs to be a ratio of 1-0 benefits cost. And if it's that, does
1
that
to
make
0? No, it makes no sense.
the 0 to 1?
Dividing by 0 never makes sense, but 1 to 0.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, now, because I'm not sure of all that, I'm probably not repeating it, but maybe I can just forward the email and you'll
Okay.
see it. I'll forward it to us, the committee. But that being said, if the benefit cost is within their scope of grants, feasibility, then we would go ahead. The due date for the application is December 11th.
Naturally.
Yeah. So, but I think we would be working with the town, I believe DPW. So I think all the factual information and the numbers and all that is there. And it would give us 2 weeks to put together text content.
So the number that you didn't recall exactly, is that the cost benefit ratio?
Yeah,
Or is
cost
it the
benefit.
not the match ratio.
No, the match is going to be 25%. But
And
this
how
is-
much money is that 25%?
I don't, you know what, he has not, this is Kevin McHugh with Conseco. They're just in the middle of all this and haven't even given a number yet on what this project would cost. So
Okay.
at this point, still waiting.
Well, remember, that money needs to be approved by the select board. So in your grant application timetable, you have to have enough time for the select board to understand and approve it. Unless the approval can occur after we submit the application, then we just withdraw.
Okay,
All right,
I'll check up with
explore
that.
that. All right, because
Okay, I'll
there may be a
explore
time constraint.
Right. I would just hope that the town administrator and DPW would know that. I would hope, but I'll definitely bring that up.
Well, I don't know that they would know it because the grant was approved at the last town meeting. It's the first time we've had a bundle of money. And even the select board has never gone through the process of taking money out of a bucket and approving it for a grant.
Okay,
So it's
Yeah.
all new. Everyone's going to be, and town administrators also new. So just
Okay.
work through the timetable.
oh, okay, I'll do that. And it was also my understanding that DPW has some reserve of their own.
Okay, now again, what is this grant specifically for? This one?
This is for the generator for the COA, a new
Oh,
generator,
sure. Okay,
right?
that's very important.
Yes. So that might go ahead, we're looking at that going forward and being submitted on December 11th if all
Yeah.
goes. And so the third thing is that on October 27th, Carol and I Zoomed with the town administrator, Maria Broadbent, to discuss the low-lying roads
Mhm.
issue around town. And we asked if we could maybe prioritize the different roads
Mhm.
and have, say, a 2-year timeline to prioritize and have different projects going and just
Mhm.
scope it out in advance so that we can have all of them grant ready by the time we apply for an actual grant. She thought that was a very good idea. And so where we left it is that she was going to put that idea to DPW and any other pertinent departments and get back to us. So that's where we are with that.
Okay, maybe the reason low-lying roads didn't sound appealing because it wasn't clear they were tidally flooded during storm surges. Maybe
For
you could,
for
the
MPV,
low-lying roads,
yeah, you mean for the MPV grant? Why
right,
it was
yeah.
down?
Could you figure out a way to work into the title or make it clear that these are roads that flood during storm
Oh,
surges?
the grant definitely said that.
Oh,
It
okay.
definitely did. Yeah. So I don't know what Heather, I just corresponded with her today. I don't know what she meant by that not being
No.
the top priority. So I could certainly pursue that with her.
Maybe we could call them storm surge vulnerable roads. Make it sound.
My
Right.
impression is that they're really keen on natural solutions like
Yeah.
marsh restoration and that kind of
Okay.
thing, and that roads aren't sexy in that
I
way.
see.
Yeah.
But that's just my impression.
Okay. Well, in the interest of moving on, does anyone else have anything to say about this?
Can I just, Dick,
Yes.
about the low-lying roads? I think
Mhm.
we should be very clear that in the process of exploring this problem and solutions to the problem, that we're looking towards natural solutions. That is, not just raising roads, but perhaps putting in culverts and other ways to allow the water to move more naturally rather than just, raising the road bed. I think that would have more appeal.
I
Well,
agree.
that's up to the engineers, right? To figure
Yes.
it out.
But I think engineers are engineers. They give you the solution that's the easiest solution, might not be the best long-term solution. And that's where I think we have input.
Mhm. Okay. So do you talk to the engineers at all, Suzanne?
I'm in touch with him.
So mention that and see if there's anything along that line that he might think about.
Okay. And now I'm in touch with him on a different project. You know, with him, it's the generator for now. However, I guess he would be the same engineer who would do an assessment for low-lying.
Well, just get into a conversation to see if it's feasible, that there are other things we ought to consider. Doesn't have to be in a complete study, just he may know ideas or he may rule it out immediately.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on this topic? No, okay, and you just,
The next item on the agenda is discussion of and possible motion to support specific goals for greenhouse gas reductions.
yeah, that's in the context, which is not in the title, that we had filed the local comprehensive plan draft, which I sent to all the committee members. It was done in 2018. Let me share my screen just to put it up.
Yeah, Dick, you didn't send it to me. I didn't get it.
I thought I did.
Well, can you forward it to me? Because
Okay, I will.
You do have the, I didn't know that you had the
It's what we submitted in 2018. And at that point, it was section 10 of the climate mitigation and adaptation strategies. It was a draft. This is what Carol sent. Carol's memo said something to the effect that what she circulated was a worksheet. And the worksheet was supposed to be the climate plan, but it referred to this document. But what I made some remark about it, self-referential. It said it would do everything in this thing. And what this thing says is in detail what we intended to do in the local comprehensive plan as of 2018. If everyone hasn't read it, then I'll send it out again. And I would like everyone to read it because I'd like to have a meaningful discussion about this, about whether we want to stick with these goals, declare some of them as having been already accomplished, and think of new things to add to this. But I think that this document is our input to the local comprehensive plan. It was in 2018 when we, to my recollection, we formally voted this in as our recommendation. And did anyone else not get it? Am I mistaken that I only sent it out to Carol? Or
No, I certainly received it, and I have some issues related to this.
okay, why don't you voice them then?
Okay, when you join the Global Covenant, you go ahead and do an initial greenhouse gas inventory, which was done. The expectation is that within 2 years, some proposal is made in respect to what you're going to do about greenhouse gases, and a commitment is to be made. Now, I've never been able to say that we have a commitment because even though it was put in this document, there's no reason for me to think that the town has officially agreed with that objective. So, if we don't do anything about this, basically, the Global Covenant is going to take us off. We're not meeting the requirements of the Global Covenant in respect to what happens after 2 years. I feel very bad about this. We had this idea 2 years ago, obviously, and it's for a lot of the time that sat on town administrator's desk and nothing happened with it. So now we have a document here, but we have, there's no way of saying that the town is committed to it. I don't know what to do about this.
What I would suggest is that we review this carefully, update it, vote in as a committee, and then send it to the select board for standalone approval for our plan under the global covenant.
Yeah, I
And then-
mean, they committed to the global covenant, and this is
Right.
something that has to happen.
Well, let's present it that way. That is, we say, this is the plan that we're doing in respect. We prepared it for the local comprehensive plan. We're not sure that it fits into the structure of the local comprehensive plan, but this is the plan we wish to adopt in support of the global covenant of mayors, and we'd like you to approve it as a
That sounds
plan
good
for
to
the
me.
global covenant of mayors.
So how do we proceed in that?
First, let's
Objective.
everyone read it carefully for the specifics and amend it and discuss our amendments at our next meeting. And then we will vote to do what I said. Ask the select board to approve it as part of our participation in the global covenant of mayors. Is that okay?
That
Well,
sounds
that's
good. to me.
progress, definitely. That way it won't sit on the desk of the town
Right.
administrator.
Right. So now, is there anything about the details in this plan, content, that anyone wants to change? And my comment was I would like specific guidelines. So in goal 2, we said, let's go to net zero by 2030. That now seems like quite a reach. I'd like to substitute the statewide goals of 50% below 1990 by 2030, 75% by 2040, and net zero by 2050. And it's not energy consumption, but greenhouse gas emissions that should be the goal. That's my
And that's also
contribution.
true in goal 3, isn't it?
It could be.
It has the same preamble, so would be changed accordingly.
Right, yes, right,
Right.
yes.
And fix the spelling of consumption there.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, yes.
I wondered back in number 1, in goal number 1, if number 3 is essentially taken care of by the bylaw that was passed at town meeting.
Why don't you
Under
suggest,
goal 1.
let people suggest wording. I can't do this on the fly. It sounds as if it is.
Under
Suggest
goal
the
1,
rewording of 3.
I think it could be removed if we're counting that resolution that was passed at town meeting. Am I wrong?
Call up goal, let's see goal 1 again so we can make sure we're all seeing the same thing. Yes, we did effectively pass that.
1 did not say designated town staff position. Do we have a staff town position designated?
No, number part
Number 3,
3,
Under goal, I'm
3.
sorry, what goal?
under
Policy.
goal number 1,
Okay,
number 3.
Wait, scroll back up.
oh, goal 1, item
3.
3. Is
We
this-
did that already. Like we did even more than that.
Okay. Let's figure out a way on how to present that as goals we've already met, but leave it in, okay?
Okay, that's a good idea, Dick.
Because there are a lot of things in that, in the 2 years that we've already done.
That's a very good idea. Sort of have a goals and then have, achieved
Right,
goals. as a
yeah,
separate
just
category.
underneath it, we'll put a comment, this has been met by.
Right.
Okay, but is there anything else someone would like to comment at this meeting?
I wondered if under I think it's 4, where we talk
Goal
about the
4?
community energy, goal 4, the
Mhm.
community's energy consumption, if we want to add something about electric vehicles and charging stations.
Okay.
Let me just ask about that in
Yes.
conjunction with goal 2. So goal 2, we've got reduce the town of Wellfleet's energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. Given all of the, I don't know what the right word is, all the headaches we ran into with Nauset Regional, do we want to either define or separate energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions? So it says underneath that, achieve net zero for energy consumption, but if that sort of leaves greenhouse gas emissions out.
Right.
And
So
and and
I-
and when,
I
and
would
when
like
you-
to leave out energy consumption and just go for greenhouse gas
ridiculous.
emissions.
well,
Net zero for
but-
energy consumption doesn't make any sense.
Say that
well-
again?
Right, it's impossible.
Yeah,
That's just wrong.
right.
well,
So
yep,
why
well,
don't we,
I think,
why don't-
well, wait a minute, let me just, is the intent of that, even though it's perhaps worded improperly, to mean that the town is using as much renewable energy or is using, renewable energy for all energy consuming, buildings and vehicles and so forth.
that was the
It
intent.
certainly doesn't say that.
No.
But I mean, is that the intent of that?
The intent is the town should be net zero ultimately in greenhouse gas emissions. And the energy consumption it makes it easier if energy consumption is low, but it's not even a requirement. We
Right.
can consume as much energy as we want as long as we produce no greenhouse gases.
So can you just knock that out of the language?
I
All the way-
suggest that's a good idea. I think that's a wonderful idea. Now
And
that we've,
And further that, the part about electric vehicles, it seems that would be a better goal heading to put that under than goal 4.
What about saying non-renewable? In other words, let's avoid non-renewable energy consumption. If you go back, rather than just deleting the whole sentence,
say,
non-renewable, and that's what we want to reduce.
reduce the town of Wellfleet's greenhouse gas emissions is what I
I'm
said.
saying also
across-
non-renewable energy consumption. It talks about the commitment to renewable energy. I don't know. I don't think it's a problem taking it out. You guys are steeped in thinking about this, but not everybody thinking energy is constantly thinking about the greenhouse gas. Just my opinion is, your real objective is to not have the use of non-renewable energy. We don't care how much renewable energy they use.
That's correct. We have to, we need, so let's make a note that this has to be edited from head to turn with that in mind.
I just am
Can I
cautious
just say, Dick,
to leap to
one
greenhouse
thing?
gas emissions is assuming everybody understands that's the only thing we're after. And I don't know.
Yeah, I think we may need to leave something in about reducing energy consumption as a means of
right,
doing it. And we also need to do something about reducing peak energy consumption, which may mean that we have batteries, right?
Dick?
Which, yes,
I want to pick up on the point you just made. I think all strategies to achieve net zero have to involve not just alternative energy, but also conservation, reduction of our energy use. So technically, you're absolutely right. That is to achieve net zero, we just want, no greenhouse gases. But I think putting into our statement reduction of our consumption is important because that focuses on the fact that we need to do conservation. So I
Right,
think
but
you're
we don't
absolutely
have
right.
any numerical goals for how much we need to conserve, do we?
I don't think we do, but I just think,
Except under the Green Communities Act, 20% in 5 years.
yeah, I think that's, I think that's important to have that. But I definitely think we don't want net zero for energy consumption. 'Cause that, that's death for everyone.
Right. So the 20% every 5 years is a reasonable goal, maybe.
Yeah, as we more insulation, better, use of
Mhm.
energy, et cetera, et cetera. I just think it's a good point.
Okay. So can I rely on everyone
Edit ourselves for next
to
meeting.
take a cut at this? Yes. And would someone like to play the role of editor and, try and combine the comments besides me?
Do that.
You will? Good.
So we'll
Um,
send comments
we will-
to Carol
Okay.
and Dick.
Send them to Carol. Yeah, send me a copy, I guess. But Carol will be the editor. Okay, so we'll all take a cut at marking this up, and then Carol will do it and will bring forward what the differences are that we need to discuss if it's not clear. But the guidance is energy reduction is still a component, but greenhouse gas reduction is the goal, right? And the numerical quantities of greenhouse gas reduction.
Good point.
Also, we want to beef up our electric car, which is really
It
part of
belongs under number 3, goal number 3, I think. Is that where you put it?
Well,
Because that's the community
as, fa-
reduction.
as far as electric vehicles, it's already there under goal 2, item 4.
But goal 2 is the town and goal 3 is the community. So it should be mentioned under both.
There you go.
Yes, right. And electric cars is part of a strategy of switching from fossil fuels to renewable electricity. So that has two components. One is we have to be 100% of renewable electricity. And the second is switching to air source heat pumps from fossil fuels, right? That's part of a strategy of replacing fossil fuels with renewable energy. Maybe I'll try to put that into. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So in the interest of moving on, and we want the strict numerical goals. But this is going to take work. Robert, how much time do we have before on the timeline for the Global Covenant of Mayors, before we hit our 2 years?
I have to put it in an update, before next year.
Okay, so
Okay.
a month or two to work this and get it through the select board is okay?
I mean, the thing is, for me to make a claim to the Global Covenant without the select board having actually approved, is it, I don't know
So
what to do.
what's
with
our
that.
deadline for having the select board actually approve it?
Yeah.
Is it mid-December?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shoot for getting the comments in within 2 weeks, having an edited, a version we can approve at our next meeting, and going before the select board shortly thereafter, in early December. Is that right? No, that's not, in late December. How about if you delay?
Maybe our December meeting could be a little early
Yeah, okay,
because of the holidays.
right. Yes, okay, we'll do it we'll have our next committee meeting in early December, so we can go before the select board shortly thereafter, right?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else that anyone wants to
Dick?
talk about on
Dick?
this? Yes,
Dick, I think it's important for us to remember that we've already moved with the fact that the town passed the motion at the town meeting. We've moved a long way towards this already. That is, we've got the town on board, formally committed to moving towards net zero. So I think we're already moving in that direction. It's
well,
not,
we've accomplished an awful lot of this already. It's not lack of progress. It's the timeline for the global covenant of mayors that we're pushing.
I understand, but I think we've moved towards the timeline for the covenant of mayors already. Big part of that is getting the town to formally commit to net zero within a certain time period. So
So was the resolution
Is there such a
town meeting?
commitment? Is there such a document that shows this, or any
Yeah, Article
record whatsoever?
25, Article 25 at the last town meeting
Was passed?
was
it was
passed.
passed and it was binding. It was a binding
Could you
resolution.
send me a copy of Article 25? And is it recorded in any way on the
Of course it
website?
is. It passed town meeting.
So it should
And you
be
can
on the
go to the
website.
town website and pull Article 25 out off.
I think
Past town meeting.
feel that we've done a lot in that resolution.
So you're saying I should look at
Look at that and see
Article
if that
25 on
alone
the
is,
town website?
yes. Yes, and see if that's enough.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Okay.
The next item was a discussion of the Nauset Regional High School building, Board of Building Regulations and Standards hearing on net zero stretch code.
Right. So I think a number of people were at that meeting, but the upshot was that, surprise, they actually considered some of the suggestions. Let me recap. We had asked them to consider ground source heat pumps as a way of going to net zero. And they actually had their engineers do a study in which they found that that ground source heat pumps were not effective because,
Sandy soil.
yeah, right, because of sandy soil.
I was shocked that they had to be so deep, like 200 feet.
Okay, and it would take 5 acres. But they came back with something that said variable refrigerant flow, VRF, air source heat pumps. That's a commercial version of the mini splits we get, was viable and nearly as cost effective. And they came back with 2 options. One option was to do an all electric system, which was completely heated by air source heat pumps. And one was an option to do a hybrid where there was some natural gas heating, mostly for the larger spaces, and the individual rooms would be heated with air source heat pumps, not individual, but a centralized system, but with the capability of converting at a later date to an all-electric system and eliminating the natural gas. So it would be kept, with a hybrid option, it would be kept in mind that the goal is ultimately to be an all-electric solution. So I was surprised at that. And I thought, well, we've made some real progress. by the way, on the sandy soil, the reason the sandy soil is not a good idea is that it's in the well area for the town of Eastham. And the town of Eastham is sensitive to anything in their well area because they've just had a tremendous expense covering up the damage to the aquifer done by their landfill. So it isn't politic to suggest anything going in there, even if it makes technical sense, even if the only thing going through there is water.
You guys as a committee made a huge difference here, even if it's not the 100% of ground source. You've made a real impact with this, this whole positioning.
Right. So now our next step, I think, is to ask the Board of Selectmen, Select Board, to express a preference for either the hybrid or the all-electric solution, because the cost difference on the all-electric solution was about $250,000. I mean, on the hybrid is 250, and on the all-electric was about 650. And Colin Odell from Brewster and I think we can get a $300,000 grant from the Cape Light Compact, which would offset almost all the cost of the hybrid system. Okay, so with that in mind, I think we'd like to ask the select board to express a preference. And if that's true, maybe we can get together and go to the select board, get on their agenda and put it on their agenda for a resolution. Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea. I'd like to make a request. I am in the middle of working on a detailed revision of what we've sent to the global government. If somebody could send me so that I don't spend time looking for it, the exact copy of what that was
I'll do
put
that,
on the
Bob.
website, I would appreciate that. The second part of this, of course, is it's fine to say what our objective is. What's our plan for achieving that objective?
Well, the other items under the goal are our plans, what we intend to do. Well, they put as goals, but we do them. I mean, like we hold outreach meetings. We're not going to tell them what outreach meetings we're going to do in the next 5 years. We're going to do outreach meetings. Maybe we need to phrase it as being clear we're taking these actions, because we have taken a lot of them.
Okay, well, I'll worry about how to work that in. But
Okay.
the first thing is to be able to make the statement that the town has committed to this objective. And
Okay.
that will satisfy our immediate need in respect to what I sent to the covenant.
Okay, John, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, to your point about the Nauset High School, and first thing I want to do is thank you for all the legwork you did on this. I think it's so important and you've done a lot. My
And
question,
thank Bob Higgins Steele for getting me started on it.
but my question is a strategy one. I'm very, in general, suspicious of things like the hybrid that will meet, in the future will meet this goal, because oftentimes the future never happens. I mean, I know the issue of housing. Well, if we like affordable housing units, well, we'll make it so it can be potentially solar, but not right now because we'll save money. But of course, it'll never become solar because
it's not that. The plan is specifically to swap out the natural gas with an electric boiler. It's really designed in so that it can be become all electric.
So in other words, you're confident, and this is my question, you're confident if we go to the select board with the hybrid or my preference would be go to the select board with all electric. but I'm asking you, do you think that's too hard a push? And we should just go with the hybrid or the all electric?
No, I think I would go to the select board with a preference for all electric, but acceptance, but the hybrid if it proves to be unfeasible.
Okay, I will make that motion then. We go to the select board with that.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second,
I'll make a second.
Okay, Lily, second. All in favor? This has to be a roll call. Lily?
Yes.
Dick Elkin, yes. GB?
aye.
Carol?
Yes.
And Robert?
Yes,
John, you're not voting. Suzanne?
Yes.
And David?
Yes.
So that was 7, am I correct? Jeff?
Quick question. Is anybody able to share? There was a change with the schools, the Nauset school system. You know, they're going through the same rigmarole we did with, you have to have a third party in order to take advantage of the solar tax credits, and they just passed that. Does anybody know what the impact is on Wellfleet? Is
For what?
Wellfleet going to get solar panels on the roof of our school?
Okay, so here's the problem. We put solar panels on the landfill and we put 1.2 megabytes of panels. And the law at the time said we were only entitled to put 700,000 megawatts, 700 kilowatts of panels for our own use because that's all we use. You can't put more panels than produce more electricity than we use. So we sold the excess capacity to the Nauset Regional School System. So our landfill is 70% supplying the town and 30% supplying the school system. Now, we could go out and put more panels on the roof of our elementary school, but we have no appetite for the electricity. Okay, because we can't use any more as a town. So we've got everything in the landfill. So, you know, putting solar panels on the roof of the town hall, for example, nice idea, but you know,
Well, this was
that's not,
specifically for all the schools, so I wasn't sure which of the schools within the Nauset region were now going to be allowed to put solar.
but that's okay because the school system has appetite for more electricity.
That's
So
what I
they
was
can use
asking
it.
about, whether the Wellfleet school would actually, I don't know what our status, I couldn't.
It's 100% covered. It's 100% covered. But if they put it on the elementary school in Wellfleet and used it in Eastham, that's perfectly okay. Okay, if it's one financial deal, it's one financial deal. Okay. And yeah, what they did is they had to get a special act of the legislature to make that happen.
Yeah, it
Because
sounded like the same story we had, because you can't take, the local governments can't take advantage of the tax credits. So you have to introduce a third party.
no, what the problem was that the law allows municipalities, but never made provision for a school system
Oh,
to
yeah,
do
okay,
this, to do a third party. So that's what they had to get passed.
Thank you.
Okay. So we talked about the regional school system. There is a hearing on net zero stretch code. Did anyone attend it? I sent out the link. I had a conflict. David, did you go? David seems to have gone away.
No, I'm here. No, I did not. I wasn't able to go as well.
So I guess nobody attended that on the net zero stretch code. No, Bob, did you?
nope.
I do know that it's moving forward for sure, with lots of lobbying going on for that change. And for what it's worth, I'm going to propose that tomorrow night's planning board meeting, that the planning board make a statement or a resolution, at least for starters, in support of the net zero stretch code. And I already know that at least half the planning board will disagree with that, but I'm going to raise it intentionally for that reason, so we can begin to have a conversation.
Okay. You know, all right. Well, we will adopt the stretch code when it's approved. The only question is, this is lobbying as to what goes in it, right?
Right, that's correct. This is trying to show support for this new code. And there are lots of ways to do that. Towns can do it, committees can do it, boards can do it. And it's just a choice that we make that maybe will speed up the process of adoption.
Okay, good. And while you're on the phone, why don't you go on to our next agenda item,
Sure.
which is outreach meetings. Where do we stand?
Where we stand is things kind of ground to a halt because of the election, in all honesty. Bob Hickensteel and I are going to get back on the case. For me, that means doing the revisions to the PowerPoint, and for him, it means when I get that done, he's agreed to help publicize and organize a time to do this presentation of the PowerPoint.
And this is a PowerPoint for what, just to fill us in?
This is the one that we spent time in as a committee a while back about climate action on the Outer Cape.
Okay, you're organizing a Cape and Islands Energize program, right?
Correct, yeah.
Is that what the PowerPoint does?
No, that's separate. This is focused just on the Outer Cape. There will be presentations and information coming up soon about basically making a Cape-wide version of Outer Cape Energize, to put it really simply, and hopefully improving on Outer Cape Energize as well. And there's a lot of planning and discussion going on now about how to do that. It's a massive undertaking involving ultimately, just to scare everybody, hundreds of volunteers and people working as teams in 21 different towns all around the Cape. So it's a little crazy, but we're working on it, and stay tuned on that one.
Okay. So we'll stay tuned.
Yeah.
Okay, the landfill.
I attended the select board meeting where that item was on the agenda. I also spoke with our town administrator prior to that, and she did fill me in on exactly what was brought out at the select board meeting. So, you know,
Which item is on the agenda?
it was on the select board
But
agenda.
what item? What item?
The landfill, where the PV installation, where it's at legally, and you know, to move forward with having finally turned, you know, activated. You all received the communications or what was in the packet of the select board. The attorneys are waiting for a decision from the judge again. And as you can see, the dates on the communication from the attorney to the judge and the judge, I mean, it was all delayed as a result of the pandemic. So one of the select board members did ask, is there any way to speed that up? And the TA's response was no. You know, they also asked, would they want to go back and take a different action? And the TA's response was any action that we were to take would just delay everything. So we're just waiting for the judge to respond again to the attorney. So
Okay.
she knows that I'm highly motivated and interested and as we all are, about moving this forward as soon as we can. She said she would keep me informed.
Okay, so let me let's talk about something slightly related but different. There has been some development that's positive in this area. We've been attempting to get Eversource to put up their poles, and Eversource's requirement is we have clear title to the land. And that's what's tied up in the land court. But we're using an alternate approach, which is we're asking Eversource to accept to lease the land from the town, at which point it becomes the town's problem as to whether they have the right to issue a lease or not. And Eversource simply signs a lease with the town. So we're working on that approach. Probably the negotiation is going on with Eversource. They said they were willing to do it, but the person who was who's doing it on behalf of Eversource is out dealing with outages at the current time. But it looks as if we can get a lease drawn up and sign, a lease drawn up within, hopefully within a month. That is, we can proceed with the leasing arrangement, get it through either the town administrator or the select board and proceed, so that even though we don't have clear title to the land for another year or so, it isn't going to matter. We will be able to proceed within, optimistically, 2 months will be up. Optimistically, pessimistically, it'll take 3 times as long, but it's a lot faster than getting title to the land. So that's what we're working on right now, is to get a lease arrangement, because Eversource has signed lease arrangements in the past. And maybe
Do you have any idea what Eversource is doing with the power lines and the helicopter?
Yes,
yes, that's an upgrade of the main power line.
yeah. Yeah,
It's not,
the town with Eversource, this came up at the select board meeting, the town granted them the right to move the materials using a helicopter, because supposedly that was their most efficient and effective way of doing this. Yeah, and they run orange tape up and down the power lines, and they are upgrading everything. So hopefully some of the pockets in Wellfleet that have been really challenged, and some of the issues that we've been dealing with vulnerable populations. And if we had storm surge and situations where people were cut off, there wouldn't be emergency situations either. So we'll see if that helps the situation all the way around.
What Eversource is doing is they're replacing the wooden poles that the high voltage lines go on, and they're replacing them with metal ones, with steel. And they've been doing this, and now along the whole path, and now they're doing it out here in the Outer Cape. So a lot of the old-fashioned, huge wooden telephone pole type power lines are now replaced by metal ones.
Yeah,
and what they were doing is hooking up on the very top. I go out there, I'm walking with the dog all the time. And, they use those helicopters to hook up some lines on the very top, and it was just easier for them to do it that way. I think they might be done on that. With the whole project, they're running up and down. It's pretty amazing, what they brought in in order to make it so that the cranes and the trucks could go over the sand. It's pretty interesting.
But they said that they're upgrading the system as well. I mean, just the connectivity part of that as well.
Yeah, and they're putting the batteries in Provincetown. So, their intent with it, that gives us an alternative source, so that there isn't a single point of failure that we've lived with here on the edge rather than in the grid.
okay. The other item under this was possible PV installations, and I think we addressed it. That was on the agenda because Ryan Curley had asked whether we could do something with the roof of town buildings. And I think we don't have any capability, unless we understand the law changes, to put in more than, under the SMART program, we can't put in more solar than we use as a town, unless we find other off-takers. And they have to be municipal entities to be off-takers. That's why the regional school system was picked, not, you could do a solar garden too. That's another community garden, but that's more complicated. You have to start selling shares and so on. Amoresco would have done it if they couldn't get the regional school system, but fortunately the school system signed up. Okay, so now I think we're coming to the end of our agenda. Is there any future topic that somebody wants on next month's agenda? Jeff?
It's on the fuel efficient automobiles. So.
Oh, yeah.
I brought this up, and the police department, because of COVID, we're ending up, we have 2 new cruisers that the town will be purchasing this year. And the chief's key concerns first is he's not sure that there is like electric vehicles or Teslas that are on, I guess, the state approved list. And that's a really important part. So the 2 things that he really worries about is first, he's got to do the research to find if there are any other towns in the Commonwealth that have done this. Is there any electric police vehicles that are there? That's number one. The second one, and it's like he said, the reason that they never have Chevys is because they don't feel they can get decent maintenance. So the second big concern is making sure that whoever they buy their vehicles from, they can maintain the vehicles. So as I said, there are 2 this year and maybe 2 next year, the 1 or 2 for next year.
Yeah, so
They could use some help just finding out if any other towns are doing this or if it's even a viable option in 2020.
So I suspect no other town in Massachusetts has done it. The research I found was the nearest town was Connecticut.
Yeah, I
Where they
suspected
may
that
not-
too, but-
which they may not have a state approved list in Connecticut. So they just did it.
So those are
But
the
he-
issues. So there's an opportunity, if not this year, then next, but that's where, that's really what the chief is looking for.
So then, in order to do that, we have to find out who in which state department maintains this list and write to them and ask
Yeah.
that they
Right.
consider it, because Tesla does make a police car model, or at
Oh,
least
that probably
has.
it screams.
It accelerates awfully quickly, yes.
Yeah. My doctor, Bill Shea, just got a Tesla. He loves it.
Yeah. So does
Right.
anyone want to take that on? To go find out what state agency is doing the Tesla, maintains the police car list, and lobbying them to investigate a Tesla? Okay, I'll try.
I'm just, one thing occurs to me. I know in the Metro Boston area, there's a police department consortium that buys, police vehicles and radios and
Mhm.
all of that kind of stuff. I don't know whether they set their own standards for what they get. I mean, their purpose is primarily, to aggregate the requirements to get the maximum buying power. And most of the departments at least in the greater Boston area, use this program to get a lot of their vehicles and radios anyhow. I don't know, it could be uniforms and other things as well. So that might be one place to look into. As I say, I don't know enough about it to say whether they get state guidelines first and then, work out aggregation deals after that, or whether they set their own standards.
Mhm. Okay, yes, John,
My niece is on the council at Newton, town of Newton. And she is, she was the ex-director of the Sierra Club, Massachusetts, executive director of Sierra Club, very concerned about this issue. So I'll see what progress Newton has made in getting electric police cars and report back.
okay, good.
Second question, which is, Lily, you're still on the Cape Cod, Barnstable, whatever.
Yeah.
I heard recently that a lot of enthusiasm about the new makeup of the commission and not the commission, the
Commissioners.
commissioners, and what they hope to achieve now that the commissioners have sort of, though you're not in such a small minority. I was wondering if next time you could talk to us about what the Barnstable commissioners are planning to do around the issue of climate change.
Oh, so, I think what you might be talking about, John, is what the Cape Cod Commission
No, it wasn't the
is
commission.
doing right now.
I know what the commission is doing, but I was under the impression that the Barnstable
The commissioners,
commissioners are
County committee.
more sympathetic to environmental issues than they used to be. And
well, John, I'm on the Assembly of Delegates. I'm on the legislative branch of county government. The Brownsville County Commissioners is the executive branch. And yes, Mark Forrest and Sheila Lyons were just elected. So as of January 1st, they will be the county commissioners along with Ron Bergstrom, which bodes well for a shift in how the,
Everything.
believe me, trust me. But that will be a shift, a big shift. Also, the Cape Cod Commission is now working very diligently.
I know what they're doing, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously knows about that.
It's great to see you. I wanted to say, it's great to see you. I'm glad you're recovering. Obviously, you're here. And
Right.
and also, I don't know if you heard that the county is working with the Lawrence Road project, the low income housing project, on the septic system, the proposal that you had talked to us about.
Right.
Yeah, so that I have been keeping up to speed on that. So anyway,
Thank you. Thanks for your good work.
for me to give you any kind of an update on the assembly. I don't see anything that the assembly is doing as far as right now regards to what we're discussing. I am talking with the county administrator about solar panels and solar opportunities in the county, not just in the county buildings, but across all of the towns. So I am working with him. I am talking and dialoguing about that and pushing that forward.
So on the Ron Bergstrom is the commissioner's representative on the Cape Cod Commission. And he's the only one who's consistently less patient about their progress than I am. And I'm considered at the left wing, but he leaves me in the dust. So he's very, very proactive and doesn't like to wait at all, compared to me, if you can believe it. Okay, is there other topics you'd like to have? Did we end up with a topic for next month and all that?
They're going over that.
Local comprehensive plan or the law. So
Okay,
have to
no,
draft.
but then is there anything else that someone wants to bring up for next month? No. Okay, is there any old business that someone wants to bring up?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay, and then we have to do the meters consolidation. I took it out of turn, but that's okay. Go ahead, Lily.
Okay, at the last meeting, I said I would call the Massachusetts Attorney General's office and talk with the attorney of the day. And I did regarding an email that Dick sent to all of us, dated 10/13/20. And yeah, I said at the meeting that having a majority of the members of our committee, asking them to contact you outside of a regular meeting of the committee to discuss a meeting of the Cape Cod Commission that would include members of our committee regarding topics we discussed as a committee was a violation of open meeting law, and Dick pushed back on it. I did talk with the attorney today, and she said, not only is that a violation, but also sending the email itself was a violation of open meeting law, because you were expressing your opinion in an email to a majority of the committee, and both
What
are,
opinion did I express? That they should
hold on.
attend?
Both are considered deliberation outside of a meeting with a quorum of the committee, and this deliberation must take place in a meeting. So
What deliberation and what opinion did I express? When you told her I expressed an opinion,
I read her what you wrote.
what
And
I
that
said was, look,
you
the
said,
purpose of the email was to get members of this committee to attend another workshop.
no, but yes, but in addition to that, you said you would like to talk to each of us about what we should say. You know, I don't think that you didn't think you would be allowed to speak because you're on the committee and you're supposed to be listening. So you said, let's coordinate our position. We need advocates for a serious plan with numerical topics, not the happy horse expletive, which you did say that the commission usually puts out. And so I told you I had a serious concern about you being our representative from Wellfleet on the commission, making those kinds of statements about the Cape Cod Commission. But in addition to that, you know, this is what her read was on this email, as well as on your deliberation in talking to us outside of the meeting. So that is what I'm saying. I am not filing an open meeting law violation. I think our town is dealing with a pandemic, a new town administrator, and but I really am hoping that we will not do these kinds of things that are in violation to open meeting law in the future. So
Okay, well, let me say that since I don't remember who I actually spoke with, whether it was quorum or not, but all I wanted to accomplish, since I expected they would break up into topics, into sessions, working sessions, was that each working session be represented by someone on the committee. And I don't believe we had any discussion of what should be said at all, which is what's under discussion. We only discussed whether or not people would come to the meeting and that all our interests would be represented. So I don't think we had a discussion on content in any one of the one-on-one conversations that we had, despite the way it sounded in the email and what you thought. I don't remember discussing content or any actual position before the committee with anyone.
I don't think that's true, Dick, but let's drop it there and let's move on and let's just not do it again.
Okay. I still believe that this committee will receive invitations to meetings all the time.
Yeah, well, that's fine to give us information.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. effort for consolidating of billing of town meters, GB, we didn't want to skip that. Why didn't you talk about that?
Okay, I did some further looking into this, and I I, I'm a little embarrassed to say that I never asked this question at the beginning of all the work I was doing. I spent a lot of time tracking down people who were using statement billing, which is Eversource's consolidated billing, and what it would take to for Wellfleet to get involved with that. And the fundamental question that I never asked was, can solar credits be applied to the statement billing master number, which is basically a synthetic billing number that the metered accounts for an entity like the town of Wellfleet or whatever are listed under and aggregated under. And the person I spoke with at Eversource says, no, you cannot apply solar credits to a statement billing master number, which would have been very desirable in Wellfleet, because we could have gone to statement billing and then applied the credits to the statement billing number, and they would just simply reduce the total bill for the town in one place, and you didn't have to worry about all the different entities. So it turns out, according to what I was told, the only way the credits can be allocated in the town is through the Schedule Z process, which is a form that you make out and say, I want X% of my credits to go to this account, and Y% to go to this account, and Z% to go to this account, and so forth. And that requires a certain amount of, I guess, analysis and guesswork as to how those credits should be divvied up. It's not an impossible task, but just something that has to be done. And I further learned that a Schedule Z can only be submitted every 6 months, so that if you come up with an initial Schedule Z and you find out that your allocation of credits is wildly inaccurate and you want to change it, you have to wait 6 months before you can put another Schedule Z in. So it appears that the consolidation effort is of no real value with regard to solar credits. And from the point of view of administration of the billing, it might be interesting, but it's not going to help with the solar credits. I also learned that the town has an ad out for a new town accountant, and I don't know if any applications have been received, but if anybody knows anybody that's interested, I guess the ad closes November 20th.
Okay, I'm not as pessimistic as you are, GB. It's so illogical not to be able to do it that at some time in the future they probably will. And it's probably worth writing to whatever state agency administers the Smart T program and administers the way they handle this billing, and sending them a letter suggesting they tell Eversource to do it.
It probably wouldn't hurt. Eversource just seems to be extremely archaic in their billing flexibility. It's just,
since it helps both sides, right?
Yeah, but they're just so rigid. It is.
Well, they're
laughable.
Stuck with this outmoded software. Is what the problem is.
Yeah.
And they promised they would fix it as part of the merger with the Western states, and then they never did. You know, with the Berkshires when they absorbed it. Okay, Um, any old business, we did old business, new business someone wants to bring up? No, well, David, we didn't quite make it an hour.
Well,
We came closer.
the next one.
Oh, let's see. If Robert is not satisfied with Article 25 satisfying his requirements, we need to get done a little bit earlier. Maybe we want to avoid the holidays anyway. Let's go see.
Because December 21st is the next, is the third Monday.
Right, December.
Yeah.
Is that a little too close to the holidays? Would the 14th be better for people?
Who's doing anything?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a moot point this year.
Well, yeah, but on the theory that maybe we need to squeeze something in before the select board meeting.
14th.
Well, I don't know. What's your opinion? Is the 21st better or the 14th?
Or the 7th. I just assumed do it early.
Okay, we're having so much fun. Okay. So what's the opinion of the committee? Lily, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, the 21st would be fine with me, but
But the 7th or 14th are also okay?
yeah, it looks like it's fine.
Okay, I'm okay with all of them. GB?
I'm just absolutely overwhelmed with work and activities and everything else, but I'm sure I can find a way to squeeze it in.
Okay. Carol? Jeff? Either
Yeah,
one?
I'm just waiting for Trump to leave.
Okay, Suzanne, do you have an opinion?
I prefer the 14th, but either the 7th or the 14th.
Okay. So let this rest for a week and I consult with Robert to find out, since his timetable is what would drive it. But maybe we'll go with the 14th unless the 7th is necessary in order to get on select board calendar.
Do we want to say the 14th is the tentative date unless Robert says that we need to meet before that?
Yes, okay, let's go. Let's settle it that way. Right. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. We're supposed to move to adjourn. It has to be a roll call vote.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Okay, Lily,
Yes.
me, yes. GB,
Aye.
Carol,
Yes.
okay. Suzanne,
Yes.
okay, thank you all.
Yeah.
Night.
Maxime, I hope this was worth your time.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for including me.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay.
Yeah,
So
happy
long.
Same to all.
everyone. Be it as it may.
Aye.